Over the last couple of days, Jon Jones and Francis Ngannou have agreed to fight each other at heavyweight over social media. Yesterday, Francis Ngannou posted this on his Twitter saying, "Hello Johnny, are you still there? At Johnny Bones." Today, Jon Jones took his trash talk to the next level and posted this on his Twitter saying, "I signed my autograph in the palm of Francis's left hand. He was so happy that day." Daniel Cormier on the DC and Helwani show speaks on Walt Harris's performance against Alistair Overeem.
Yeah, and you know, it was a situation where you give credit for Walt even being in that position to fight, right? Like, that's so difficult. But then ESPN did some fantastic pieces on Walt and his relationship with his daughter Naya, and it was Walt wanting to honor her through his performances, and I thought that it was great. You know, I thought that was a great reason for him to be competing. But with that comes a little bit of pressure, right? And I just hope that Walt didn't have so much emotional connection to the fight that that's what fatigued him, because that might have been part of it. And it sucks, you know, because I understand as a guy who's lost a daughter, right? Although my daughter was very young, how much of a toll that takes on you physically and emotionally. So for Walt to be back in there competing, you know, that was great. But I don't know if maybe, you know, that storybook ending that oh my goodness, I'm gonna knock out Alistair Overeem after going through all this, didn't like exhaust him. Like, oh, it's happening. It can be exhausting carrying all that emotional weight, carrying the physical weight, and also fighting one of the best fighters in the world and in the history of mixed martial arts. So I thought he started well, but I mean, you couldn't help but be rooting for him. And I'm telling you, man, I was hoping the ref would have stopped the fight. I was like, and I like Alistair, but I was just hoping that he could have that moment, you know, where he could just, you know, like, I know it would have felt like a weight lifted off of his shoulder if he won the fight, you know, and was able to dedicate it to his daughter. But I think that was a harsh reminder that life isn't a fairy tale. And no matter how much the world or people want for you to have success in these types of situations, doesn't always work out like that, you know. So sad, but you know, hats off to Walt for being so courageous and putting himself on display in such a tough time for him and his family.
Man, so gyms have reopened. I went to one. We did some jiu-jitsu with the gi on. And then we did some rounds and I threw up. And then I went to another gym and I did some cardio kickboxing. And now I'm finna go inside and take some CBD and get some sleep after I shower. It's a good night, good day. Things are coming back together, baby.
Angela Hill on the Ariel Helwani's MMA show speaks on a split decision loss to Claudia Gadelha.
Sucks. It really hurts. I didn't want to watch the fight really, but I figured since I was doing a couple of interviews, I should watch it just to make sure it wasn't just, you know, my own perception that I was winning. It actually looked like I was winning. And you know, the third round is the round that everyone debates whether or not I took it. And after watching the third round, I felt like I did more damage in the third than I did in the second, aside from, you know, dropping Gadelha. So it's pretty hard, man. Like, I went in there super nervous, knowing that this fight is going to be the one that kind of pushes me over the edge, the one that leads me into title contention, that gets me that high ranking and proves to everyone that I am ready to be up there. And then I feel like that was taken from me by the judges. So it's really heartbreaking. It was hard for me to watch the fight just because I was looking for reasons that the judges would score that round for her, and I couldn't find any. I was landing the cleaner shots. Everything she threw at me, I ducked out of the way. She didn't do any damage. Like, most of the damage I did was actually in the third round, not in the second. It's just really hard to understand what was going through their minds when they wrote down that she won that round. yeah, it's hard. Like the thing that makes it a lot easier is that people like you, people who do have influence, are saying that they thought I won, and it sucks because I didn't. But it is easier to get all the support from people that I respect, from fans out of nowhere. Like I never had a huge following like Gadelha or like the other girls in the top 5, but I've been there just as long, and now suddenly I'm getting this like this huge amount of fan support. So I really appreciate all that, and thank you to you and everyone who is saying that they thought I won it. It's it does mean a lot. It helps me through in this time where I just feel like I'm not being allowed to celebrate an accomplishment.
Treinaço. Focado, determinado. Borrachinha se aprontando pra guerra. Nasceu pronto. Impressionante a vontade desse cara. Impressionante. Olha essa porrada. Essa porrada. Determinação, vontade, guerra. Nasceu pra guerra.
Alistair Overeem on Sirius XM says he'd like to run it back with Jairzihino Rozenstruik.
Well, this was a satisfying victory, right? Because we had to make a statement after the Rozenstruik thing. But, looking at the performance, it was a very strong performance. You're displaying new stuff, the head kick, the background stuff. So that's all perfect. But I'm not dissatisfied about the Rozenstruik performance. That was also, we schooled the guy. You're up all 5 rounds. It was just like one, or actually it was 2 punches that he connected. In my opinion, a wrong stoppage. The ref should have never jumped in, and when he jumped in, it was 0 seconds left. I actually at the time thought it was the end of the fight, because I remember the click last 10 seconds. And then, I got dropped straight back to my feet, and then it was over. And I thought I actually won that fight. And then it's like, hey, they stopped it, TKO. And then you have Rozenstruik talking about it, he KO'd me. That guy got lucky. And I would love to run it back with him, because, again, I fight him again, I'm going to finish him, 100%. When you fight, there's always the chance for an X factor. And this was the X factor. The X factor fell in his advantage. And, as a pro, I look at myself, I should have not allowed that to happen. Was it a fluke? It definitely was a fluke. And, give me the opportunity and I'll prove it was a fluke.
Alistair,
I already did that for 5 rounds, but give me another opportunity, I'm going to prove it in 2.
And Matt Serra on the UFC Unfiltered podcast gives his thoughts on how Anthony Smith's corner handled his fight.
Let's talk the controversy now, or what everybody's talking about as far as the corner work. And again, everybody's like, I like those guys, but they should have stopped it. I'm going to say, because I talked to Ray about this long ago, and as us with cornermen, and we're like, what if that was Aljo? What if that was, one of our guys, Al or something? And you're always going to, it's hard when you're not in the moment.
Sure.
But I would have liked, like if I'm there and Aljo's coming back and he's got his teeth out, and I would love to believe that I'm going to try to get eye contact with my guy and say, look, man, I'm going to stop this, and unless you convince me otherwise. You know what I mean? I don't know, but the body language from Anthony Smith, who's a warrior, I agree somewhat with DC and the critics that are saying that it should have been stopped, because at a point, because this is the thing, he's not going to say he wants out.
Never.
He's not. He has too much pride. It's the reason why he's in there. He's not going to say it, but he was giving body language that he had enough.
That's right.
You know what I mean? Turning his back several times. I mean, look, OSP does that, but he does that every fight. Does a little sprint and he goes back to the middle, and that's not Anthony's style. So when he was getting beat up, I mean, it should have been addressed in the corner.
Agreed.
Like, hey man, like listen, unless you feel you got something, man, I'm gonna stop this. And then if there's no words back from him, you're stopping it.